When he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man. When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
Welcome to the channel where the truth behind the fame gets exposed. Today, we're diving into Diddy, and trust me, it's deeper and darker than you think. What you're about to hear might change the way you see everything. So hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get into it. Diddy's empire is crumbling before our eyes. But did Cassie play a bigger role than anyone realized? The new lawsuit from Clayton Howard is dropping bombshells, alleging she manipulated him just as much as Diddy did. So is Cassie really the victim here, or was she pulling strings behind the scenes? We've got the shocking details the jury didn't even hear. Cassie Ventura's lawsuit against Diddy wasn't just another celebrity legal battle. It was the match that lit the fire. Filed in November 2023, her complaint detailed years of alleged physical abuse, sexual coercion, and psychological manipulation. The documents describe specific incidents where Diddy allegedly forced her into sexual encounters with male escorts, sometimes filming them without her consent. One passage claimed he'd beat her so severely in 2018 that she needed emergency medical treatment. What made this case different were the systemic details. Cassie's lawyers argued Diddy maintained control through surveillance, alleging he planted cameras in her home, monitored her calls, and tracked her movements. The lawsuit mentioned a pattern where Diddy would allegedly lavish gifts after violent episodes, creating a cycle of dependence. Legal experts noted how these tactics mirrored intimate partner violence cases they'd seen outside the entertainment industry. The most explosive claim involved trafficking allegations. Cassie stated Diddy flew her to parties in other states under false pretenses, where she'd allegedly be pressured into sex acts with his associates. This particular accusation opened the door for federal interest, since crossing state lines for unlawful activities falls under interstate trafficking laws. Her legal team strategically filed under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which carries harsher penalties than standard assault claims. Diddy's lawyers responded aggressively, calling the suit a shakedown and threatening to countersue for defamation. But behind the scenes, the case settled within days, a $30 million payout according to industry insiders. The speed of settlement raised eyebrows, with some speculating Diddy wanted to avoid discovery, where more damaging evidence might surface. Legal analysts noted non-disclosure agreements typically prevent details from leaking after settlements, but this time, the damage was already done. Within weeks of the settlement, 3 more accusers came forward with similar stories. Liza Gardner's lawsuit described being drugged and assaulted at a Diddy-hosted party in 2003. A Jane Doe claimant alleged he and R&B singer Aaron Hall took turns raping her after a 1990s music industry event. Each new filing referenced Cassie's case as inspiration, with lawyers citing her courage to break the silence. The timing coincided with a shift in how media covered these allegations. Where previous accusations against Diddy had been buried, like the 1999 shooting incident involving Interscope executive Steve Stout, outlets now investigated aggressively. Reporters dug up old interviews where Diddy joked about controlling women, and former bad boy artists gave anonymous accounts of toxic behavior. The lawsuit didn't just expose Diddy. It revealed how systems protected powerful figures for decades. Cassie herself stayed quiet post-settlement, but her Instagram post thanking supporters hinted at relief. The muted response contrasted with the escalating legal storm around Diddy. Court documents show Homeland Security had already opened a parallel investigation months before her lawsuit, suggesting authorities were building a case independent of civil actions. This coordination between private lawsuits and federal probes would later prove crucial when raids hit Diddy's homes in March 2024. The Homeland Security raids on March 25, 2024, changed everything. Federal agents hit Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami mansions simultaneously at 6 a.m. Eyewitnesses described at least 20 agents in each location, wearing tactical vests. They came armed with search warrants, authorizing seizure of phones, computers, and storage devices. This wasn't some local PD operation. It was a full-scale federal investigation. Sources close to the investigation later revealed Homeland Security had been building this case since late 2023. They'd allegedly gathered testimony from multiple witnesses before getting judge approval for the searches. The warrants specifically mentioned potential evidence related to sex trafficking, assault, and firearms violations. Agents spent over 8 hours combing through Diddy's properties, leaving with boxes of materials and multiple electronic devices. What made these raids different was the coordination. Federal teams executed both searches within minutes of each other to prevent evidence destruction. They secured surveillance footage from security systems and took fingerprints from certain rooms. TMZ reported agents focused particular attention on Diddy's private offices and bedrooms. The presence of computer forensic specialists suggested they were hunting for digital evidence, like messages, photos, or financial records. Diddy wasn't home during the raids, but his staff described chaotic scenes. One employee said agents questioned them about who accessed certain rooms and when. They allegedly asked specific questions about parties held at the properties over the years. The fact that federal prosecutors sought these warrants, rather than state authorities, indicated potential interstate crimes that could carry heavier penalties. In the weeks following, we learned more about what investigators found. Sources said they'd seized multiple cell phones, including some older models. This suggested they wanted historical data, not just recent communications. They also took computers from Diddy's home studios and offices. Legal experts noted this could mean they were reconstructing timelines or hunting for financial transactions. The raids directly led to criminal charges filed in April 2024. Prosecutors hit Diddy with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon related to separate incidents. But court documents revealed they'd considered more serious charges initially. Draft indictments referenced potential trafficking and racketeering counts that never materialized. Some legal analysts believe prosecutors pared down the charges to strengthen their case on what they could prove. The trial lasted 6 weeks and showed us things about Diddy that never made headlines before. Courtroom observers noted how some key witnesses either didn't show up or changed their stories when pressed. This created problems for prosecutors trying to build their case. One witness, who initially claimed to have seen Diddy assault someone, later admitted they might have misremembered the details under cross-examination. Jurors heard about private parties on Diddy's jets, where passengers allegedly engaged in sexual acts mid-flight. Flight attendants testified about special party routes, where the plane would circle for hours while events unfolded. Text messages showed Diddy discussing guest lists and payments with assistants. The most shocking reveal came from a former bodyguard who described finding underage girls at a Miami mansion party in 2015. Though these allegations didn't lead to separate charges, the prosecution brought forward 5 major charges, but only secured convictions on 2 counts related to the Mann Act. This federal law makes it illegal to transport people across state lines for prostitution or other illegal sexual activity. The guilty verdicts centered on 2 specific instances, where Diddy allegedly flew women to events, knowing they'd be pressured into sex. The jury deadlocked on more serious trafficking charges and acquitted him of 3 other counts related to assault and conspiracy. When the verdict came in, it took over 4 hours to read all the decisions. Courtroom artists captured Diddy's reactions. His face remained still as each count was announced, but his hands gripped the table when they read the 2 guilty verdicts. His legal team rushed to claim victory, pointing to the acquittals as proof the system worked. But legal analysts noted the Mann Act convictions carry possible 5-year prison terms for each count. What made this trial different was how much it pulled back the curtain on Diddy's world. We learned about his security protocols, how guests at his parties had to surrender phones in special locked bags. There were details about hidden compartments in his homes, where he allegedly kept recording equipment. Former employees described a culture where assistants were expected to provide whatever Diddy wanted, no questions asked. The defense strategy focused on discrediting witnesses and painting them as opportunists. They highlighted how several accusers continued associating with Diddy long after alleged incidents occurred. One woman admitted under oath that she went on 3 more trips with Diddy after claiming he assaulted her. The defense used this to argue these were consensual relationships gone bad. While the jury was deliberating, something unexpected happened outside the courtroom. A group of inmates at Rikers Island started cheering for Diddy during TV coverage of the trial. Guards reported they were shouting "Free Diddy" from their cells. This bizarre show of support became a trending topic, with some speculating inmates admired his success story, while others thought it showed how celebrity culture distorts perceptions of guilt. Diddy's team immediately filed motions to overturn the guilty verdicts, arguing technicalities about jury instructions. But legal experts say those appeals rarely succeed. The bigger question became how these convictions would affect his October sentencing, and whether new lawsuits would emerge now that he'd been found guilty on federal counts. The trial might have ended, but the fallout was just beginning. The Clayton Howard lawsuit changed everything we thought we knew about this case. Filed in July 2025, this wasn't just another accusation against Diddy. It named Cassie as a co-defendant and flipped the script entirely. Howard, who worked as a male escort for both of them, came forward with claims that made people question Cassie's role in everything. He filed the lawsuit himself without an attorney, saying his previous lawyer was in cahoots with the prosecutors and didn't want to make Cassie look bad. Howard's claims were specific and damaging. He alleged Cassie got pregnant with his child and had an abortion without telling him. He also claimed he contracted an STI from her. These weren't just side details. They directly contradicted the victim narrative that had been building around Cassie since her lawsuit. The documents showed texts where Cassie allegedly threatened Howard, telling him not to come around anymore. He said she made him feel uncomfortable multiple times and used her position to intimidate him. What made this different was how it showed Cassie might have been more involved than anyone knew. Howard claimed she wasn't just going along with Diddy's demands, but actually enjoyed some of the power herself. He put it bluntly, what got out of it was power. An audio recording surfaced where Cassie appeared to be threatening another sex worker, backing up Howard's claims about her behavior. This wasn't the same portrait of Cassie we'd seen during the trial. The reaction online was immediate. People who'd been supporting Cassie started questioning everything. Social media blew up with debates about whether she'd been manipulating the situation the whole time. Some pointed out her quick $30 million settlement with Diddy as suspicious. Others wondered why Howard waited so long to come forward. His explanation was simple. He was scared and financially dependent on the money he made from these arrangements. Legal experts had mixed opinions about the lawsuit's chances. Some doubted it would go far with Cassie as a co-defendant, but the damage to public perception was already done. The filing included specific dates, locations, and financial details that made it hard to completely dismiss. When paired with the audio tapes, it painted a much more complicated picture than the clean victim-perpetrator dynamic we'd seen before. Howard described feeling trapped between Diddy and Cassie. He said Cassie threatened him several times, warning him not to stop coming around. At the same time, he needed the money too badly to walk away. The lawsuit showed how these relationships weren't just about one powerful person exploiting others. They involved layers of manipulation, going both ways. The timing raised questions too, coming right after the trial, when people thought the story was winding down. This new information forced everyone to reconsider the whole situation. If Cassie had been more involved than she claimed, what else might be different from the official story? The lawsuit didn't just challenge our understanding of Cassie. It made people wonder how many other details from the trial might not tell the full truth. With Diddy's sentencing coming up in October, these new claims could affect how the judge views the entire case. The media coverage of Diddy's case became its own spectacle. Every major outlet from TMZ to CNN ran daily updates, dissecting each new development. TMZ got exclusive photos of the home raids within hours, showing federal agents carrying out boxes of evidence. Their legal analysts speculated about possible prison time before charges were even officially filed. Court TV streamed every hearing live, with commentators debating witness credibility in real time. Public reaction split sharply down the middle. Some saw this as long overdue justice, pointing to rumors about Diddy's behavior, circulating for years in hip-hop circles. Others called it a targeted attack, noting how the timing coincided with Diddy's plans to launch a new media venture. The weirdest moment came when inmates at Rikers Island started chanting "Free Diddy" during news coverage. Correction officers confirmed this actually happened. Some prisoners apparently saw him as a success story being torn down. Diddy's PR team worked overtime to control the narrative. They issued statements calling the charges baseless, while quietly distancing him from business partners. His lawyers gave carefully worded interviews emphasizing the charges that didn't stick, rather than the ones that did. Behind the scenes, sources said they were prepping damage control for the sentencing phase, knowing guilty verdicts were likely. Celebrity reactions fell into three camps. A few, like 50 Cent, publicly mocked Diddy, posting memes about the situation. Most stayed conspicuously silent, especially artists signed to Bad Boy Records. Only two former associates, Mark Curry and Stevie J, gave interviews supporting Diddy. Several female artists, including Macy Gray, made vague posts about believing women without naming names. The silence from Cassie spoke volumes. She hadn't posted on social media since her lawsuit settled. The speed of Diddy's image collapse shocked industry watchers. 1 month he was a Kennedy Center honoree, the next his name got scrubbed from university scholarship programs. Revolt TV, his cable network, saw advertisers pull out, despite record ratings covering his own trial. Streaming platforms started moving Bad Boy catalog content to harder-to-find sections. The most telling shift happened at clubs. DJs reported requests for Diddy's music dropped nearly 80% after the verdict. What made this media storm different was how it kept finding new angles. When Clayton Howard's lawsuit dropped, outlets pivoted to analyzing Cassie's alleged involvement. Legal commentators debated whether it would affect Diddy's sentencing. Gossip blogs dug up old photos of Howard, with both Diddy and Cassie at events. The cycle kept feeding itself. Just when one aspect of the story started fading, another explosive detail would emerge. Social media amplified everything. TikTok trends had people dissecting old Diddy interviews for red flags. Memes compared his mugshot potential to R. Kelly's. Hashtags like Diddy Do It and Cassie Knew trended for days. YouTube channels dedicated to celebrity analysis saw viewership spikes whenever they posted about the case. Even people who normally ignored celebrity news found themselves following the story. The fallout extended beyond Diddy personally. Business analysts started questioning whether his entire empire could survive. Deals reportedly fell through, a planned Las Vegas residency got canceled, and a tequila brand partnership dissolved. The most damaging rumor? That federal investigators were now looking at financial transactions between Diddy's companies and some of the people making accusations. This wasn't just about reputation anymore. It was starting to look like his entire business structure might be under scrutiny. As the October sentencing approaches, the media frenzy shows no signs of slowing. Every development gets dissected from multiple angles. Legal analysts debate prison time projections, while entertainment reporters track which friends still associate with him. The public can't look away, making this one of the most followed celebrity downfalls since Bill Cosby. What started as a civil lawsuit has turned into a full-blown cultural reckoning, one that's rewriting how we view one of hip-hop's most powerful figures. October's sentencing could change everything for Diddy. The judge could give him real prison time. Prosecutors are reportedly asking for just over 4 years, but with merely a year already served, TMZ reports it might end up being closer to 2. That may sound light compared to maximum sentences, but here's the thing. Even a short prison stay could wreck his business empire. We're not just talking about Bad Boy Records here. Revolt TV, his liquor brands, all those real estate holdings, they all depend on Diddy being present and actively involved. His companies have always been personality-driven operations. Without him making deals and putting his name behind projects, the whole structure could collapse. We've seen this before with other celebrities. The moment they can't personally participate, the money starts drying up. The financial hit isn't just about potential fines. Diddy's got enough cash to pay those. It's about the quiet exodus that's already happening. Business partners have been backing away for months. That tequila deal? Canceled. The Vegas residency? Gone. Even his own Revolt network lost advertisers during the trial, despite record ratings covering his own legal troubles. The network's value has dropped nearly 40% since the raids. Here's what people aren't considering. Who's going to run things if he's locked up? Bad Boy hasn't had a major star in years, outside of nostalgia acts. Revolt was already struggling before this. His son Christian tried stepping up, but he doesn't have the connections or clout to keep everything afloat. Industry sources say several artists have quietly asked to be released from contracts. The catalog music still generates money, but new projects? Forget about it. The sentencing could also trigger more legal problems. There's talk federal investigators are looking at financial links between Diddy's companies and some accusers. If they find anything during his prison stay, he won't be in position to manage the fallout. His lawyers can handle appeals, but they can't stop new lawsuits or investigations that might emerge while he's incarcerated. Then, there's the rap game itself. Hip-hop culture has always had complicated relationships with its legends, but this is different. Streaming numbers show Diddy's music getting skipped more at clubs now. Radio plays are down nearly 70% from before the trial. Younger artists who used to cite him as an inspiration are avoiding mentioning him in interviews. It's like the whole industry is doing a slow fade on someone who dominated for decades. The judge has wide discretion in sentencing. They'll consider character letters, the nature of the crimes, whether Diddy shows remorse. But here's the reality. Even if he gets probation, the damage is done. Too many people have walked away. Too much dirty laundry got aired. The goodwill that kept him floating through past scandals evaporated during this trial. October doesn't just mark a potential prison sentence. It could be the official end of the Diddy era. The brands will still exist on paper. The music will still stream. But the power and influence? That's likely gone for good. When we look back at hip-hop history years from now, this moment might be where the chapter truly closes on one of its most controversial legends. The sentencing isn't just about the time he might serve. It's about whether anything he built can survive without him at the helm. Based on how things are trending, the answer looks increasingly clear. What happens next could redefine celebrity accountability in hip-hop for years to come. Here's the deal. Diddy's case isn't just about him. It's part of a bigger shift where powerful figures in entertainment are finally facing consequences. The Homeland Security raids and Clayton Howard's lawsuit show no one's untouchable anymore. October's sentencing could set a precedent. If Diddy does time, it sends a message that courts will hold celebrities accountable. But this story isn't ending anytime soon. More lawsuits could surface, and the industry's still figuring out how to handle these cases. For years, money and influence shielded people. Now the rules are changing. Watch what happens next. It'll tell us how deep this reckoning goes.